Hey everybody, welcome back to Barbecue by Biggs. I'm Aaron, and today we're doing some more brats. That's right, making some homemade Swiss mushroom brats. So if you want to see how these guys turn out and how we made them, you guys come along with us. Stay tuned. So we've got a small brisket, we've got a small, about a 9-pound pork butt. We're just gonna cut the bone out of this, cut it up in squares by about that big, so we can get it through that 3/4 horsepower grinder and it'll grind it up fine. So this one is a small, doesn't have a whole lot of fat on it, but we will cut this little bit of hard decal fat off. The rest of it we'll just cut up, we'll get it into the grinder. So we'll get these squared up and get them ready to go. All right, so we got it all cubed up. We have 7 pounds of brisket. We have 6.5 pounds of pork butt. We've mixed them together here in this tote. We're gonna get these, we're gonna put these into the freezer. That way, you want that meat to be very, very cold. We'll put it in there for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll bring it back and we'll grind it up. So we'll do that now. See you in a minute. All right, we got it out of the freezer. It's been in there for about 30 to 45 minutes. It's ready to grind. So for these mushroom brats, what it's calling for is that PS seasoning number 284 is gonna go into the meat before it's grinded. So that's what it's calls for. That's what we're gonna do. So we got 12.5 pounds of meat here. We're gonna use half of the seasoning from PSC seasoning. It treats 25 pounds. We got 12.5 pounds. So we're gonna get that added to the meat and then we'll get this ground up. We'll bring you guys in. So we got the 284 measured out. That's half of the package. We're gonna add this to the meat as we go. We took the pork and the brisket, mixed those together so when we grind it, we'll have a good grind. We're gonna grind it with a 4.5 millimeter, and we're only gonna grind it one time. Any more than once, what we found is that sausage gets really hard when it's in the casing after you cook it, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll get this mixed together here. Man, you can smell that mushroom. Smells good. So we'll get this mixed. We're gonna get it grinded, and then we're gonna add some high temp Swiss cheese. So we're gonna have mushroom Swiss brats when we're done. But we're gonna grind it first so we don't grind that cheese up into small bits. So we'll get this mixed up and then we'll get it in the grinder. We'll bring you guys back for the grind. All right, so we had the throat in the freezer. We got that out. As you can tell, it's very, very cold. This carnivore has this ice pack too. We got the ice pack on, keeps this meat very cold so you don't have the issues of hang-ups when that fat starts to warm up. So we'll get this in here and get it ground. So cut it into about that size of a chunk, goes right down into the throat. So this is a number 12. This fits perfectly in number 12. If you have an 8 or anything smaller, you'd have to cut those a little bit smaller. That way it would go down through the throat. So we got it all mixed up. As you can see, the seasoning's all over this. We got the pork and the beef in here. We're gonna get it grinded through. Again, we're gonna grind it one time, 4.5 millimeter plate. We'll get this going. All right, we'll just drop some down there so we don't start it dry, and we'll get to grinding. Again, my grinder, I have a foot pedal down here on the bottom. Makes it real easy. All I gotta do is step on it and get started. Everything's grinding good. We'll get it ground up and we'll bring you guys back when we're ready to get it all mixed together. All right, we have it all grounded up. We're just gonna take it, we're gonna knead it to get that protein extraction so we can case it up. So what we're looking for is not too wet and not too dry. So we'll knead it here for 5 or 6 minutes. And then we'll add a little bit of water as we go along to get the consistency that we're looking for. So what you're trying to do is just make sure that you have good disbursement of all the meat types. You have brisket, you have pork, and the seasoning. You just want to make sure that you're getting the protein extraction that you're looking for there. So as it starts to dry out, just add a little bit of water as you go. Probably only going to add about 2/3 cup of ice cold water into this. Maybe a little more if we need it. We'll add some water now. See if we're ready here. Looks about right. Protein extraction's good. Yep, sticking. All right, ready to fold in that Swiss cheese. So we're just gonna add the Swiss cheese right on top, then we're gonna fold it in just like you would a cake. Put the other half on the top. And then we'll just fold it in just like a cake. You don't want to work it too much, you just want to work it in just like a cake, just fold it in. You want to make sure that you have just as much cheese in every part of it. If you have one that has too much, like this has too much, this has too little, just mix it in. So we'll get this mixed in. Then we're gonna go back into the freezer for about 15-20 minutes to get it cool again. And then we'll run it into the casing. So we'll bring you guys back then. So we're gonna take a little patty of this, we're gonna fry it up to make sure our seasonings are right. You always wanna do that just to make sure before you case all this that it's not missing salt, it's not missing some pepper, that it tastes good. So we'll get a patty fried up and then we'll bring you guys back. All right, so we fried up a little bit of this, let's taste it. It's juicy, that's for sure. Cheese in it, let's try it out. Oh yeah, that's good. Perfect, let's case it up. All right, so we've got a 5-pound made by meat stuffer here. If you don't have a stuffer, you can use your grinder, but man, if you don't have a stuffer, you really need to look into getting one. There is a link in the description if you're interested. These things work amazing, a lot better than the competitors. And all we're gonna do is take that meat, we're gonna take the meat and make sure that we stuff it, take all the air out of it. Just kind of toss it in there and push down. Make sure you try to get all those air pockets out of there. That way you don't introduce extra air into your sausage. So we'll just stuff it down. Then we'll load it up into that stuffer and case up the meat. So after you've soaked these for the allotted amount of time, all you want to do is open them up on the end. Kind of just stick your fingers in, get it open here. Just want to stick your fingers in like this, and then introduce some water into there. That water is going to do two things. It's going to straighten it out as you put it on, and it's also going to flush that out, any of the salt, that residual salt that's left in there. So we'll take a little water, put it on the horn here. So when you're putting this casing on, just put it around the end, and then all you got to do is pull it on. It's really easy to do. All right, so once we get this casing on, we're just gonna turn the handle a couple of times to bring that meat right to the end here. So as you'll see, that meat will start coming out. Get the water out, there's the meat, and then back off that handle. And we're gonna bring this out, tie a knot. We'll be ready to case it up. So have that back. All you're gonna want to do is keep your thumb here to keep pressure, and then just do a continual turn. And you don't want to go too full, but yet you don't want it to be too loose either. So just be very consistent when that comes out with your pressure and the turning of your sausage stuffer handle, or how you're feeding it through your grinder. You just want a little bit of pressure on that thumb to ensure that it comes out at the pace you're looking for. All right, we'll get the rest of these cased up and we'll bring you right back. Stay tuned. All right, before we get all those other ones done, we're gonna show you guys how to link this up. So you see on the side here, we kind of measured it out. It's about 6.5 inches. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna skip one. So you start at the beginning, skip one, and then squeeze right here on your line. See there, you just squeeze, and then bring it over. Put this one on this line, this one here, squeeze again, and then you just take this middle section and you twist a couple times. Now, depending on how many times you twist is how full they are. If they're really full, only a couple of twists. If you're a little loose when you put the meat in, you can twist it a couple more times to get it tightened up. Like on the end here, we need to tighten it up a little bit. So again, what we're gonna do is we'll measure it out, and we'll squeeze here. We'll come here, measure it out again, squeeze here, and then we'll just take this, both of our fingers here, and then just spin. 1, 2, 3 on this one. That's all there is to it. So when these are linked up, we're gonna put them in the refrigerator, let that pellicle come and form a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll take a pair of scissors. Once they've cooled down a little bit, we'll cut them and it'll make perfect links. These are gonna be raw links. We're not gonna smoke them per se. We are gonna cook them in a smoker. But you can cook them on your Weber, you can cook them on an open fire, whatever you want to cook them on. They're just raw. So just remember, you got to bring them up to 165 degrees. So we'll get the rest of these linked up and we'll bring you guys back. All right, we got them all cased up. They're ready to go on the smoker. We did put them in the refrigerator for a couple of hours just to let that pellicle on the outside form a little bit, to take a little bit of the smoke that we're going to put on it. These aren't smoked sausages, they are fresh sausages, but we are going to cook them on the smoker. We're going at 275 degrees on our Lone Star Grills Mini using post oak. So we'll get them on the grill now and see how they turn out. You guys come along with us. All right, so we got the pit at 275 degrees, rolling post oak with some B&B charcoal. We're just gonna stick these on the middle shelf, 275 degrees. We'll come out here and check on them here in about 30 minutes or so. We want the internal temperature to be about 155, 160. It'll carry over to 165 just to make sure they're done. So we'll get these on the middle rack and bring you guys back in about 30 minutes. All right, they've been in there about 30 minutes, 275. We're just gonna flip them over and then leave them on for about another 15, 20, 30 minutes or so. We'll check the temperature as we get closer, and we want to be at about 160, 165. So we'll get those flipped, we'll get them back on. All right, we'll check the temp in about 15 minutes. We'll make a sacrificial one, be about 165, but about 15 minutes, we'll check it. We'll bring you guys back when they're done. All right, let's check them out, see if they're done. Oh yeah, looking good. We'll bring you in for a better look. All right, they're done. Let's get us a taste of these things. See if you can see it here. Cut through. Oh yeah. You can see here. Cheese. Do that. Cheese. Oh yeah, that looks good. So let's get a bite of this. Oh my God. I gotta say, this is probably better than the last one I did. Man, if you guys haven't tried this, you gotta make your own sausage. It's delicious. See you guys on the next cook.